Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Japan Film Festival Los Angeles 2021. So this year, we are doing online, and it's a worldwide, and also with the at the theater. So I think we called it like a hybrid style. We are lucky we can do that, And so today is the greeting from the short film. The directors, and I think most of them are the directors, going to talk about their film and also introduce their film. And also, so I want you guys to see who's making this film and what they do, the story behind the film. I want you guys to hear that. So, and you are watching because you want to see them, not me, right? So let's start the greeting from the directors. So first, I want to introduce the Brady Taboo. I think it's a Sibila.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sibila. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And also the
Marina.
Marina, she's here, right?
Yes, she should be here.
All right.
Nice to meet you here as well.
Hi, Marina. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So you are the producer, right?
Co-producer, yes.
Co-producer, got it.
Yes.
You. Okay. Thank you very much. So let's talk about your film, Sibila.
Yes.
Could you explain about you and also your film?
Of course. So first of all, I apologize for the bad sound quality because I'm traveling today from Wakayama to Tokyo. If you can't hear me, please let me know.
No
otherwise
problem.
I'll just keep going. Hence, I'm wearing a mask also. So my name is Sibila. I'm an Austrian filmmaker and photographer, but I live in Tokyo. And the film that we're showing this week at Japan Film Festival Los Angeles, thank you very much, by the way, we're super excited, is a short documentary about the stigma against menstruation in Japan. And I think it is probably a little bit of a rare topic to see in films, but that's actually exactly why we did it. So last year, during the start of the pandemic, I saw an article about this organization called Period, which Marina, the co-producer, was the founder of in Japan. And I saw what kind of work that they were doing to raise awareness towards this issue of, the stigma and the taboo against periods, well, in Japan, but also around the world. And I've always been really interested in women's rights topics, and Japan, unfortunately, is lacking a little bit behind maybe when it comes to women's rights. And I thought that this would be such a great topic for a film, and nobody talks about it, out open in the public. And I wanted to see what is the situation in Japan. And it was a really spontaneous decision. And then I wrote a message to Marina and asked her if she would be up for making a movie together. And that's how it started. So we actually filmed a documentary last summer, August and September. And we met a lot of really amazing people, from activists to high school students. We met a really old lady who told us about what periods were like, back in the day, and the taboo was like back then. We met a healthcare professional, and just people who gave us their insights sort of on the situation in Japan. And really, from my perspective, my main goal, I guess, with this film is just to give the topic some visibility, because half of the world basically has periods. And I wrote it also in the description, but menstruators have periods, if you put it all together, for about 7 years of their lifetime. So it's a really, really long time. And but still, it's this topic that not only does nobody really talk about it, but also people with periods are kind of shamed when the blood is seen somewhere, or also we're just meant to sort of hide it and not be open about it. And I think that's really wrong. And I just would like for the world to move to a place where we can just talk about periods as a really normal thing, because that's what it is. But so with our film, we're trying to do that and show the situation in Japan. So maybe Marina, you can talk a little bit more about the situation in Japan.
Yes, Marina, please.
Yes. So Sabila explained comprehensively the situation and why we set out to create this film. But I just want to explain a little bit about what happened and why we decided to sort of create this chapter, an organization to talk about periods and engage in menstrual activism. So in 2019, in October 2019 specifically, the Japanese government raised the consumption tax rate, and some items, such as food products, were exempt from this tax rate increase, and newspapers as well. Certain kinds of newspapers were also exempt from the tax rate increase. However, necessities like period products were not, which means that today we have to pay 10% for taxes and for period products, while other products such as groceries and newspapers are exempt from that. So the tax rate for those remain at 8%. And so I found that sort of not only disappointing, but also something that needs to change. So we created this organization, or this chapter of an organization that's actually based in the United States. And we decided to talk about this, to raise awareness of the issue, to say, look, menstrual rights are important, and these so we decided to do some advocacy and reduce the menstrual stigma. And fortunately, that's when Sabila reached out to us and sort of gave us the opportunity to visually showcase what is happening on the ground in Japan and what sort of stigma people face every day, whether it's to hide the period products that they buy, or whether it's the shame, the cultural shame, the religious shame that they experience. So we, fortunately, through this documentary, I believe we were able to sort of display the multifaceted challenges that we face as menstruators, or as people who menstruate and have periods. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, because your documentary, I want to call it the film because it's very strong. They have a message, but also not only the documentary. You guys put the other the image of the people's like a portrait, like as a human, So and also the more like for me, it looked like more like the art, a bit of art. Expression about the your messages. So I really liked it. So Sibila, are you not only are you a director, so documentary director, or you make the the story film too, like a drama film too, or?
No, not at all. Actually, I come from a photography background. I come from a fashion photography and documentary photography background, and I just recently moved to shooting documentary films because I think that film is really powerful medium to tell these kind of stories. So maybe that's why you see that influence there a little bit. But yeah, documentary is my field.
Mm-hmm. I see. So so it's gonna be you guys gonna wanna say something about the for the audience that please please share your thought to the audience.
Yes. Can you still hear me? It's getting a little bit loud now on my side. I think you can still hear me.
Yep.
Okay. So thank you everybody for watching, for joining the film festival. Please watch our film. It's called The Bloody Taboo. It's a short documentary. I think it's a film that everybody should see, whether you're a woman or not, whether you have periods or not, because everybody has a mother or sister or a daughter or somebody. And I think that just by watching it and, putting yourself in a space where you think about it, you can already change the situation and help us more, raise more awareness. So I encourage everybody to watch it. Thank you. I don't know, Marina, if you have a few more words.
Sure. Yes, thank you everyone for watching the film. This film talks about menstruation, but it also touches on a number of issues about social rights, about gender rights, you name it. So hopefully you can find a little bit of intersectionality here as well watching the film. And I hope that this will help us encourage one another to have more conversations about periods without shame, and to embrace periods as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both. Thank you for joining our film festival. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next, I want to introduce the filmmakers. The Nanakorobi.
Hi, my name is Glenna Bermer, and I'm the producer, director, and composer for the film Nanakorobi Yaoki, which is a very, very famous Japanese saying that basically says 7 times you may fall, but get back up the eighth. And the reason I made this film is that my mother was a very well-known sumie artist, and she, in her life, suffered a great deal. She went through her own 7 ordeals. Her entire Tokyo home was firebombed during the war. She watched the Hiroshima bomb drop because she was working at a company that was only about a day away from there, and she took care of many of the survivors that came in. She also had a number of other, terrible things happen to her, and yet she fought every single time and came back up and was a successful sumie artist. Similarly, my grandmother in Japan also suffered a great deal as she was growing up. It was tough for women in her generation. And so this film is really dedicated to both of them. There were a couple of things that I want to say, which is that it started out actually as a symphonic piece. And I heard the entire thing in my head, and I realized, wait a minute, this is a movie. What I need to do is I need to animate it. And so I found a fantastic group of animators in Portland, Deep Sky Studios, and Gabby Breiter, who was the animation director, and we basically, over a period of a year, just, frame by frame, designed this thing to look like sumie. And it's a story that's in Hokkaido. It's a little girl who undergoes 7 life-threatening challenges in order to save the life of the thing she loves the most. So it's an inspirational piece. Basically, during the time of COVID, I want the audience to know, hey, get in there and just fight for the things that you love, the people you love, and the messages that you love. And essentially in Japanese, gambatte kudasai,
Yeah.
get in there and fight. And so that's what this piece is about. And it has no dialogue. It's all just music and animation as sumie. So that's really what it is.
Yeah, it was very beautiful, and I'm surprised that because you born in Tokyo, right?
Yes, I was born in Tokyo. Yes.
Yeah, and but you because you have some you have the genes like the Japanese, and so they're gonna that I can see it because you said that the sumie is very Japanese painting way, right? And you use that, and also you story the Nanakorobi Yaoki like 7 falls and but never give up kind of thing, right?
Right.
So don't give up and then just like a fighting spirit. It's okay to fall, but you have to stand up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I really like that. So and I have one question: why you choose that story? About in Hokkaido.
It's interesting. When I was a child, my Japanese family used to take me skiing, and we used to go to places like Yuzawa and Ishiochi, and it was my absolute childhood memory of spending winters in the snow. And I remember seeing in many of these places children who would build these huts out of straw and out of snow, and then they would have their pets, and they would just like live in there. It was really cute, and it was kind of their second home away from home. And so it brought back such memories to think about, but it must have been difficult. I mean, life must have been difficult in the deep snows of Japan. And so I set it in Hokkaido because Hokkaido is a place that still captures what I would call the wilderness of Japan. It's still very much the wilds. And so it seemed to be much better suited for Hokkaido. And if you look closely, you'll notice that some of the color schemes are Ainu. So some of the costumes and whatnot are taken from the Ainu art. And so it's also a tribute to the Ainu people as well.
Wow. So it contains so many, different Japanese, the stuff, things in it, in one piece,
Yes.
Yeah.
And the backgrounds, when you see it, they're really taken from images of Hokkaido. So the mountains, the scenery, whatever was created from actual images that we saw of Hokkaido. So it's supposed to be held, as a theme in Hokkaido.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. So and also the music. So that one is more like the orchestra, right?
Yes, it's a full orchestra. I composed the music about 5 years ago, and then what I did is I hired an orchestra in Germany to actually record it. and I was involved with the recording of the orchestra so that we could bring up the different instruments. And it might remind you of a little bit of Prokofiev, because each animal has a voice in this in the theme, and so there's no dialogue, but you'll be able to recognize the themes of animals that are involved in this.
So the music also tells the story,
Yes,
and the story always fit with the music, right?
Yes, and it's backwards from usual cinema, which is filmed first and then you hire the musicians. In this case, the music was written completely first. It was recorded, and then we did the animation on top of it.
So animation is later.
Yes, animation is later.
I thought the animation at first, maybe is it difficult, like to adjust, the timings of the.
Yes, it was challenging, and it was challenging to do that. But at the same time, it makes the story much tighter, because then the music is absolutely fit with the scene. And
right.
Yes, and so in some ways it was fun to do that.
Wow, it's interesting. So you said that how long does it take to finish the film? I mean, the drawings?
I think it took a full year, maybe a year and a half. So it was a long project, because it's essentially hand-by-hand digital animation.
Oh, it's hand-by-hand. Wow.
Digital.
So how many animators doing this? Like only one?
Oh, no. We're talking about a group of maybe 10 to 15.
10 to 15 people.
Yeah.
Wow. But it's so beautiful, and
Thank you,
yeah. And like, because when I was a kid, I like to read the how to say, the picture book, like a story, a big story with the book, and then I feel like I watching that, or like when you listen to the orchestra, then we can we all can picture like what this story is like, and what the where it happens, and that kind of thing. It's so like that.
Yes, thank you. Yes, no, a picture book is a good idea. That's what I'm going to make next.
Yeah, because it's really good. Those pictures are so beautiful. Yeah, I think you should do that. So at the end, so could you tell the audience, say something about your film, or like your message?
Yes, my message really is, COVID has been hard for everybody. It's been especially hard for creators and people who need to have an audience in order to get your message across. And so, what this film is for anyone who feels like they've been alone. We have all been alone during the COVID crisis. And what I'm hoping for is that this film inspires people to get up there and just continue on, because, that's what we have to do. Wow.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your, the beautiful film. Yeah, thank you. So I want to introduce the next film. It's going to be In the Shadow of the Pines. So Anne, are you there?
Hi, everyone. Sorry.
Hi. Yeah. So could you please introduce yourself and then about your film a little bit?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Koizumi. I'm the writer, director, and producer of a short film titled In the Shadow of the Pines that's playing at Japan Film Festival Los Angeles. Thank you so much for inviting the film to screen and to be part of this incredible program. Listening to the other filmmakers speak about their films, I really, really need to watch them. So I'll definitely make a mission to find, to watch the films. So my film, like I was saying, is a short animation. It's actually an animated documentary. It's a story about my father, who passed away 9 years ago. And, the idea came when I was asked to write the eulogy for his funeral on behalf of the family. And as I was writing it, I realized how little I actually know about my father. And so, obviously I knew him as a dad growing up in Canada, which is where I was born and raised, but he was from Japan, and he immigrated probably over 45 years ago. And the life that he had in Japan, I really knew very little. I have traveled back to Japan a couple of times, and I even lived in Kyoto for a year. And it was at that time that I probably found out the most about him, but it was through his family members. And it wasn't really directly from him or through any sort of conversation that I had with him. And so, yeah, really, that's where the idea started, but I didn't start making the film until probably 4 or 5 years after he passed away. And I was thinking a lot, not just about my relationship with my father, but my own identity and, this shame that I carried about my father being a Japanese immigrant, but also being a working class immigrant. He was the janitor at the elementary school that I attended. And so I would see him every day at school, cleaning the floors with a mop or emptying the garbages. And that brought me a lot of shame. And, there's a specific memory that I have of him when I was in grade 2. And this scene is actually the first scene that I shot. It's me hiding under a desk when he came into the room to clean up this mess. One of the other students had vomited in the classroom, and I hid so that all the other kids wouldn't know that he was my dad, because I knew he would say something to me or just tease me or say hi. So yeah, the story itself is told using stop motion animation. I've been working in stop motion animation as a self-taught animator for about 15 years now. So I've, made various projects independently here in Canada. And I thought it was kind of the perfect form to tell this story because, when you think about your childhood, you think about puppets and miniature sets and, small toys. So yeah, that's really what I did with this film is I recreated, some of my strongest memories of my father using stop motion animation. But I also used archival photos and actually some archival footage that was taken from it's in the film, and I'm not giving anything away, but he was raised in an orphanage in Kumamoto, Japan. And Kumamoto, yeah. And so actually the footage that you see, the archival footage that you see in the film of the Japanese children in the orphanage was taken at the orphanage where my father was raised. And it's incredible that there's actually this footage that exists because it was taken in the late 40s. My father would have been living there. He would have been about 7 years old. But it was owned and operated by American Lutheran missionaries. And the reason they had made a film about the orphanage is because they wanted to show Americans the work that the missionaries were doing in Japan. So there's this 45-minute color film shot at the orphanage that my dad was raised. And I was able to get my hands on the rights of that film to use some of that footage specifically to tell my dad's story and his life in Japan. So anyway, don't want to go into the entire film. It's only 8 minutes long. But yeah, so but I've really the process itself was really important for me just in terms of grieving and healing. And it took me many years to make this film, but to be for it to be out in this world, it has meant so much to me. So many people have reached out, and it's really a story that I didn't think would resonate with so many people. But now that it's out there, I feel there are so many experiences of shame as a child, especially with your parents, and it's an experience that I think a lot of people can relate to. So I really hope you enjoy the film.
Yeah, it's very touchy, and then because everybody can feel it, because we have the parents and all a family, the family issue is very. We want to say thank you, but we are hate you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, I understand that. And also, I have two questions. The one is that's a clay, right? You use that clay animation, right?
Yes, yeah. So I use plasticine, but I also use some other materials. I actually have this puppet. The puppet from my film is right here.
Right.
This is just my chance, but I was I'm in my studio. But yes, I use clay, and I use some other materials like a wire, an aluminum wire armature, and then some epoxy putty to make some other pieces. But yeah, it's clay.
How long does it take to make those,
it's really
it takes long?
Well, like it depends. At least like maybe a week for my main puppet. It took like many iterations. Like it wasn't
Right.
like I just made it. It went through many phases, and yeah, it
I
looked
see.
very different initially. But as soon as I got a hang of it, I made a bunch of school children, and
Right.
that I was able to do in like I think a few weeks. I can't remember. It was so long ago now.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. So I want to ask one more thing, but I just a short. You can just tell like a short the explanation. But the music is so. I really love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, the music was made by a Canadian composer named Respectful Child. I had listened to some of their music, just online, and was really inspired by, just inspired by their sound. I had a temp track for my film, so some ideas of where I wanted to go, but they listened to it and created something really beautiful. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. So just please a short message to the audience from you.
Yeah, I think if anything, I hope that this film will let you know that it's never too late to connect with your loved ones, even after they've passed away. And I hope you enjoy the film in the film festival, and yeah.
Thank you very much, Anne. Yeah, and thank you very much for your film. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the last going to be the from the Parabola. It's Lee. Are you there?
Hi everyone.
Hi, Lee. Hi. Thank you for coming. I mean, thank you for your film. So could you introduce yourself and then about your film a little bit?
Yeah, I'm Lee Shorten. I'm the writer-director of Parabola. And again, thank you so much for having us, and thank you everyone for tuning in to listen to us and check out our films. So Parabola is a fictional drama about Makoto, a Japanese-American single mother who is struggling to reconcile with her father, Musashi, who was an assassin for the Yakuza after he's released from prison. And the reason I kind of wrote this was, growing up in the West, I grew up on a diet of like gangster films, but they were always like Irish American and Italian American gangster films. And you saw like these terrible men, but they were portrayed in these complex, interesting ways. Whereas whenever you would see Asian men on screen, traditionally, especially the Yakuza or the Triad, they're just these kind of nameless, faceless thugs that just, are evil and get killed. So I kind of wanted to pay tribute to the films of my youth, these gangster films, and then also put a complex Japanese American criminal on screen to kind of show that we're more than that too, and that our stories deserve the same kind of complexity and humanization that white protagonists traditionally have had.
So because I think that why you choose, I think you shoot at the Canada, right?
Yes.
Why choose that location? Because you are living in Los Angeles.
At the time, I was in Canada shooting. I was shooting a show called The Terror Infamy, which was about Japanese internment during World War II.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to win this film competition called Crazy Eights, where basically you have to make the film from start to finish in 8 days. So that's like pre-production, shooting, and all post. So you have like 3 days of camera, then you have to picture lock in 1 day, then you have like 1 day to color grade, you have 1 day to do the score, and then you have to turn it in. So that was quite the ride. And I was like literally shooting a TV show at the same time. So I would be on set for 14 days and then go to the edit suite and then edit for 12 hours, then go back to set. It was a wild time.
So you said that you make only 8 days for this Parabola?
Only 8 days, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's so wow. I really like the picture, the color grading is so cinematic.
Oh, thank you.
Like is that your like the intention to make that color grade like be a bit darker, a bit bluish?
Yeah, we definitely wanted the film to be kind of very moody, and like while it's not exactly traditional like Ozu framing, we wanted to pay tribute to that as well. So we definitely set out to shoot it mainly in wides and kind of, avoid coverage unless we absolutely had to get it, and avoid any inserts, and really try and just like go as, traditional as we could.
And also, I feel like the film look like it's a short film, but it's gonna be like a feature. That's what you're thinking. Like the ending is more like open ending. For me, it's open ending, so it feels like okay, maybe it's gonna be like a feature film. I'm not sure about that. What do you think?
It's funny. Everyone says that, and I can see that it actually was just intended to be a short film. I love ambiguous endings. Like I think about the ending to Inception, or I think about the ending to Blade Runner, or I think about the ending to Koreeda's Shoplifters, and I love the sense of like I like films that provoke conversation. So it's like you can watch the film, and then I don't want to give you the answers, and I'd rather you debate what happens at the end. So after Blade Runner, we debate whether Deckard was a replicant. After Inception, we debate whether the top fell over. After Koreeda's Shoplifters, you debate what did he see at the end. What were they coming back up the road for him or not? So I wanted this ambiguous ending where you could kind of project whatever you wanted to onto the story.
Oh, yeah, right. Thank you. So could you tell the audience about, the short message from you or from your film?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to Anne's, to be honest. I think it's, a lot about family and a lot about forgiveness and redemption and whether or not that's possible, and, about cycles. So I hope the film helps you to reframe your own relationships with your parents, and maybe if you haven't spoken to them for a while, maybe it will encourage you to give them a call and tell them you love them, or to maybe try and bury the hatchet around something in your past.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow, it's great. And I think Jody, are you here?
I am. Yeah.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see
We're
you.
almost done, but I want to introduce you. It's you are the director from the Foundher, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So could you explain about maybe about your film and yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I'm Jordy. I'm a writer and a director. On the commercial side, I'm a producer as well. So I have a production company that has mainly done commercial work for the past 10 years. But Foundher is a narrative piece basically about a sort of coming of age story of a young Japanese American woman who becomes a tech entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. And it's her story of basically being an outsider on multiple fronts. So on one hand, from a cultural race standpoint, being Japanese American, but also being a woman. I forget the exact statistic. I think that men outnumber women 7-1 in Silicon Valley. It's either 7 or 8-1, which is a pretty staggering statistic. And interestingly enough, at the same time, on a numbers basis, like on a percentage basis, women are actually more successful more often than men as entrepreneurs, which is interesting too. Right. So I actually didn't learn that until after I wrote the script, but I think really the basis for, writing and directing this piece was just from my own experience of being an outsider. I grew up in Ohio, and, I'm actually not even full Asian American. I'm half Japanese, right? So I've always been not Japanese enough, not Spanish enough. My mother's Spanish, and definitely not American enough. And so have had that, kind of dictate my perspective on the world. And, not everyone is half, but I think everyone can kind of attest to what it's like to be an outsider in different scenarios, right? And whether it's within your own race, or whether it's, Japanese coming to this country and being, completely not accepted, like compared to, say, even Japanese Americans. And so really it's a story about outsider status, and the fact that that's something that's, I think, what we don't talk about enough in this country.
Yeah, I gotcha. So, so the story is kind of based on your experience.
Loosely. I mean, I'm obviously not a woman, and I'm not a tech entrepreneur, but I think from a emotional standpoint, it's based on the fact that, I've always seen, I think, things through a somewhat different lens in terms of, never quite fitting into any group. And so it's funny that my friends and my professional contacts throughout life have never been maybe what you'd expect them to be. You know, sometimes like you tend to make cliques or friends in certain circles, and it's a bit stereotypical, right? Sort of like at the cafeteria in high school where the Asians sit with the Asians and the jocks sit with the jocks, you know, and I'm sitting there with my tray and wondering where to sit. So, so yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. So I have one question. What is the relation with you and bento? What?
I think. Well, I think that's. I mean, it's complicated. And on one hand, I mean, I love, you know, Japanese food. I love Asian American food. So I think, you know, to me, it was something that's symbolic of the fact that food is such a defining characteristic of, you know, who we are. And but at the same time, it's something that can differentiate us, you know, so you can be a kid at school with your bento box, but it's also something that connects us, right? Especially as we get older, and hopefully we're more open-minded to, you know, accept different kinds of foods and to break bread with people. So it has this duality, dual nature to it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. So at the end, could you tell the message from you about your film, or your message, you know, to the audience who's going to watch the Foundher?
Yeah. I hopefully I can keep it short and sweet. I think for me, it's really about the fact that, you know, we're in an amazing time in society where I think there's a lot of progressive ideals about, you know, changing things for different races and different sexual orientations, and for women, and accepting people for who they truly are. I think we still obviously have a lot of work, because I think what we see in the media is really about the extremes. And in some ways that's sexy. That's what gets people excited and to, you know, engage with each other on social media. And my film's really about the gray areas, the areas that people don't talk about. And I actually think that that's where the most work needs to be done. I think that's where real change happens. I think it's really easy to say you shouldn't be sexist. It's another thing to, you know, step into a boardroom and actually, you know, act in a way that you do accept, you know, everyone in that boardroom as your equal. That's a very different thing. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you make it. I mean, I made it.
Yeah, I'm sorry for being a couple minutes late, but I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Yeah. So now I think all the films are right now here introduced already, and so can we do the you know, the we want to take a picture. Is that okay with you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay. So朝倉さん、なんか Q もらえますか? So let's take a picture. Asakura-san, could you cue us?
Okay. Sorry. 1, 2, 3.
One more?
Thank you.
It's done?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining our film festival, and to the audience. I totally forget to tell myself. My name is Naoyuki Ikeda. I'm a director of the Japan Film Festival. I'm an actor and a producer in Los Angeles, and hope you guys enjoy our film festival. We're gonna have online until 10th. It's Sunday midnight, and also we have a theater. At the West Hollywood, the name of the Mary Monroe Theater, from 9th Saturday and 10th Sunday. We have also please go to our website and see the lineups. And if you like it, please go buy the ticket for the online. And also if you want to come to the theater, please come to watch the theater, like the big screen and the big sound. So thank you for joining, and I also hope to you guys watch their film first. Then I watch other films. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much for coming, guys, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So hope to see you very soon. All
right.
Bye, thank
you.
you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
No problem. Thank you.